Mercury in Virgo and Libra, it's your turn. Let's talk about your Mercury. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Mina. If you don't know me, I'm a really awesome astrologer. I like to share my information and knowledge with you. If that sounds like something you like, smash subscribe because I do release weekly videos. And please give my video a like. It sends a good message to the algorithm that I'm doing a good job and that you like my content. Thank you in advance. Alright, today we have another Mercury video. We're going to be talking about Mercury in Virgo and Libra. So let's get into what is Mercury. And if you don't know your Mercury sign, go to any of those free chart websites like astro.com and make sure you know what it is. So Mercury is a very small but mighty planet in your chart. It really explains how you communicate with others, how you socialize with others, how you learn, how you process information. Very important because it really is how we self-express. It's a huge part of how we express our energy outwardly to others through our mouths. It is the mouth of our chart for this reason, kind of like our ambassador. So let's get into Mercury in Virgo. Mercury in Virgo is a very strong Mercury because Virgo is ruled by Mercury. It is the earth manifestation of Mercury, how we communicate. So it is mutable earth, meaning it is moved by facts. It is moved by logic because Virgo Mercury is, and Virgo period, is the most stubborn of mutable signs, the least adaptable, the least changeable, but they are changed and moved by facts, logic, all that stuff that they can clearly see as truth in their environment. Yeah, so they're moved by that type of stuff. They're not magical thinkers. They're not, daydreamers. They're not, their head's not in the clouds unless their Mercury's in the 12th house. Remember, the whole chart matters. But yeah, they are more logical and they're not faith-based. They believe what they can see and what they can touch in their environment. And they believe what is proven to be true. Moved by facts again. So they're very logical thinkers and they're very pragmatic communicators. A lot of the way they communicate is very dry emotionally because they value clear communication above all. They don't like fluff and they like to trim the fat off per se. They just want the clean, simple data presented in a clear way. They don't like all this mumbo jumbo. They just want to get straight to the point. Give me the facts, give me the data, say it the most clean, crisp way you can, and then I'm good, it makes sense to me. Because it's really important that things make sense to them. And if it doesn't make sense to them, they're going to figure out a way for it to make sense to them. So it's a very highly active mind here, just like Mercury in Gemini. But where Mercury in Virgo, I think, excels is that Mercury in Gemini is more like the oral detective. Like, they excel in breaking down oral communication, I feel. That's like their mastery. And of course, oral communication, them using it themselves to get what they want and, listening and breaking down that oral data analysis. Whereas Virgo Mercury, I think, excels in written analysis. Like, if you give them data, written data, reports, they can contrast, compare, they can dig out the meaning, the inconsistencies. They're really good with analyzing things on paper, I feel. Getting all those facts and stuff together and just really trying to make sense of it and then trying to communicate that clearly to other people, presenting their findings. So yeah, they are the research Mercury. And again, great detective mind here. Really investigative mind. Because yeah, they're researchers at heart and very logical, pragmatic people. Mercury in Virgo is just an extremely intelligent mind here, very intelligent person. And because they're so, they have such a quick mind and such a capable mind, such an efficient brain, they can, the price is that they are just a very dry, emotional communicator. They can have their heart in the right place and have a great heart, but when they're talking and socializing to other people, the emotion gets lost in translation, which can lead to a lot of misunderstandings, unfortunately. So this is definitely something that a Mercury and Virgo person encounters and has to be aware of if they want to excel in the social world. And it doesn't help that Virgo period is prone to giving unsolicited advice, which, you know, really critical advice, which can already aggravate people. But Mercury in Virgo is especially prone to that, because that is how we speak and communicate, socialize with other people. So this Virgo placement really struggles with this very hard. But if we can push past our emotions and aggravation, you guys, we can learn a lot from Mercury in Virgo people, because they often do have very useful advice to give others. And I think at the heart of it, when Mercury in Virgo is communicating and giving their advice, they're trying to teach you how to think like them. They're trying to teach you how to think in a more clean, logical, uncluttered way. Which, you know, again, their heart's usually in the right place. Are they good at learning? Yes, Mercury in Virgo excels in learning anything, especially reading and making sense of that. But why they're good learners is also why they struggle. They learn so well because their brain likes to think in lists. They like to think of new tasks and new data in lists, because that's how they interpret and learn things. It has to be cleanly organized in their mind for it to make sense. And the problem is, when you're learning something, sometimes it does take some imagination to make a leap in your understanding. But a Virgo can't do that. They need the actual steps to learn something, or it just isn't going to click with them. So it's really important that Mercury and Virgo people have really good teachers or good YouTubers that you listen to. Like if you're DIY people, which Mercury and Virgo are DIY people at heart. So yeah, they really can suffer if they don't have the right educational guidance for their minds, because they do need, you know, materials that they're learning to be presented in the most clean, uncluttered, useful way, because their brain isn't going to soak it up unless it makes sense to them. And that is how things make sense to them. If it's organized, it will make sense to them. And yeah, sometimes learning is more Sagittarius messy, and you have to take that leap of faith. And Mercury in Virgo, again, struggles with making that leap of faith in learning things. So yes, very amazing at learning things under the right conditions. But I think that Mercury in Virgo, if they're really, really motivated, they'll find a way to bridge that gap for themselves. They will go through any, you know, resources they have, any secondary resources. Yes, remember, they're just very aggressive researchers, and they do well with doing things themselves, learning themselves, being their own teacher, because if you give them the materials, if you give them the books, like if they find the resources, they can sit with resources and they can work through it, and they feel comfortable in that realm. They can really take a set of data and work their way through it. Very awesome Virgo Mercury people. I'm envious. And they also don't like learning things that they don't deem as useful. So it's hard for them to like get motivated, especially if they're in college and they have to take like a general studies class that is just really stupid to them. It's hard for them to get into that, because they're like, what use does this have for me? So yeah, very beautiful mind, yet just a little bit stubborn. Are they good listeners? I would say so, because they do have that emotional dryness. And I don't know if you've talked to a lot of Mercury and Virgo people, but they get this look in their eye, like twitch, twitch, when things don't make sense. And a lot of times in socializing with others, especially if you have a Pisces Mercury like me, or, you know, watery people, talking to them, like Mercury and Virgos can just get this eye twitch, like, oh my God, nothing's making sense. You know, because a lot of communication won't make sense in that Virgo way, just letting you know. So I feel like they can check out. I see their brain leave the room in those moments, like when I'm just being too much of a Pisces and blah, 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 not making sense. Yeah, they check out. So I think that if they're talking to people that make sense to them, they can be a good listener. But otherwise, they're just thinking, how is this relevant? Where's the relevance? Like, does it make sense? And if it doesn't, how can I make sense of it? Do I even want to make sense of it? Like, this is like spinning around in their minds. So under the right conditions, great listeners, but yeah, not so great when it comes to listening to people that aren't like them, I guess. And if they feel like there's no point. But good news is, if they care about you, if they love you, then that is like their motivation to stay in the, you know, present in communication with you, even if you're checking out in terms of being logical. I feel like they can push their brains to power through it, but they have to have something, you know, important to them motivating them to do that, because it's not a very fun process for Mercury and Virgo people to listen to people that don't make sense. And also to listen to very emotional people that, yeah, again, don't make sense to them. So if you want them to listen to you, you have to prove yourself as a source of knowledge, you know, because Virgo Mercury gets really aggravated with stupidity. You know, I hate to say it like that, but they just do. They don't like stupidity. They prefer intelligent, logical communication. So if you can prove yourself to be a source of, you know, education for them, a source of intelligence that they deem as a valid source, then yeah, they'll listen to you more so. Because a Virgo Mercury person needs something to make sense, they cannot have a lot of patience sometimes when they're listening to others and when they're communicating with others, because they prefer to get to the point. They prefer for things to have value, you know, they prefer for things to be useful to them. They prefer things to make sense to them. And if you're just not checking those boxes, yeah, they could just be very impatient with communication and just like in their brains just dread being a part of the conversation. But in their defense, guys, like, I think they have kind brains, they have kind mouths, because at the heart of it, in their way of thinking, they want things to be useful. And if something doesn't make sense, if something doesn't have a practical earthy use, that it's not only not useful for them, but it's not useful for you. So in their mind, it's like they're being kind because they're not sharing garbage with you. They want to share things of value with you instead. And that's what they deem as valuable. Because Mercury in Virgo really excels in written documentation, comparing and contrasting that, making sense of a bunch of data, they also are good writers, you guys. And I think that, you know, do I think they could be really great imaginative writers? If they have a lot of 12th house placements in their chart, yes. But from a pure energy standpoint, I think that they would be really good nonfiction writers, like writing about their life, writing, you know, how to do something, like giving you steps and lists like they like, or just their educated opinion on something important, you know, that is relevant in real life. I think they could just be an amazing writers. And teachers too, because they have that clean Virgo mind. Very important for Mercury and Virgo, because your mind is so quick and active and so critical, just so intelligent. You really need to give it downtime, times of quiet, times of rest, because you can mentally burn out. And this can be very stressful for Virgos, because Virgos like to be on their game all the time. So yeah, take those little breaks sometimes. It will help your mind a lot, and it will help ease your anxiety, because Mercury in Virgo is prone to anxiety and obsessive tendencies, because they want to be the most efficient and perfect in their way of doing things, in their way of thinking, in their way of communicating, and their way of learning. So a lot of pressure here with Mercury in Virgo. So it's really good to release that pressure and to give yourself some downtime here. Let's talk about how the sun sign can influence your Mercury. Remember, your Mercury could be in the sign previous to the sun, the same sign as the sun, or the sign after your sun sign. So let's start with Sun in Leo, Mercury in Virgo. And I always like to call this the glasses lion combination. It's cute little imagery. But yeah, these are like Virgos who are very proud of their intellect and aren't shy about sharing it. But the flip side of that, because they have a Virgo Mercury and they're very hard on themselves, they're very critical, they also aren't going to allow themselves to like Leo out and be super confident unless they are like very sure of what they're saying, very sure of their knowledge. So until they like check all those Virgo Mercury boxes, they're not going to allow themselves to be that loud and proud Leo about their knowledge. And I really do feel like a Sun in Leo, Mercury and Virgo person, even if they're involved in creative endeavors, because Leo is a very performative, very creative, self-expressive sign, a Mercury and Virgo can hold that energy back a little bit, but can also push it in a good way. It can hold it back because, like I said, it's not going to let it release in that fire way until it is a certain amount of perfect and has a certain amount of certainty. But on the downside, this can, you know, be that analysis paralysis thing that all Virgos get caught up in occasionally. So it can really hold a Leo back in a bad way sometimes. because they're just always waiting on those Virgo perfection boxes to be checked, and sometimes they'll never be checked. So it can make a lion, a Leo, a little bit anxious, a little bit more worried than a typical Leo sun person would be. But yeah, it also could just make them extremely intelligent and not shy about sharing that, and they kind of want that to be center stage. Like, no, I can do a lot of creative things, but I want you to know me the most as someone who's super intelligent, because Leo likes to go big or go home. So they want to be known for their intelligence the most, I feel, with Leo sun, Mercury, and Virgo, or at least their capability. You know, like fire's about outputting things, and they want to be known for that pristine perfection. Like, I'm so smart and I'm so good, look at my amazing big Leo product here, I'm so smart, please see me as someone smart. That's how I view Leo sun, Mercury, and Virgo. So I love that combination. And I also feel like this is the Mercury and Virgo that struggles the most to be nice when they're in their unsolicited advice mode. You know, on one hand, Leo's a very warm energy, so they can be kind of jokey when they, you know, Virgo out a little bit and give you unsolicited advice. But on the flip side, they could also be kind of like rawr, you know, they can roar a little bit, and they can be a little mean, because fire people can be mean. I'm a fire person too, because they're just so passionate, and sometimes that passion could be translated into kind of being mean and harsh with people. So I feel like this is the Mercury and Virgo that can come off the harshest when they are like being too much of a Virgo to other people socially. So definitely need to watch out for that, my lovely glasses lions, but you are still amazing. Now let's go to Sun in Virgo, Mercury in Virgo. Well, your spirit, your Sun is in alignment with how you think, how you talk, how you communicate and socialize with other people, your Mercury. So this is a very good sign. It's a very intelligent combination. And yeah, you're just a super Virgo, and I think that this amplifies the need for a lot of mental stimulation, but the right amount, because you don't want to overstimulate yourself, but you definitely don't want to be intellectually stagnant. So I really think with especially Virgo Sun, Virgo Mercury people, that they do have like a daily dose of information, a daily dose of learning. They have to have their mind in something. So if you're an idle Virgo Sun, Virgo Mercury, please give your brain something to play with, because you don't want it to be that idle, you know, dark playground that can really get you into a negative loop of thinking. So give it something useful to do if you haven't already, which I'm sure you have. I trust you guys. So yeah, really deep need for knowledge and just ongoing learning process. You need to be doing some type of project, because you have too much mental energy. You don't want to like have it not utilized. I think that this is also the most anxious of Sun and Mercury combinations, kind of like Gemini Sun and Gemini Mercury can be prone to as well, because you're both ruled by Mercury. So really even more important for you guys that you do give yourself that time off, and you need some type of relaxation ritual to let go of that worry and anxiety, so you can come back and be your super Virgo selves and be on the road to perfection and being excellent like you already are. Virgo Sun, Virgo Mercury is also the most perfectionistic of combinations here. Because your spirit, your Sun, and your Mercury, your mind, are moving together towards excellence. So you might feel more pressure than these other combinations to just be the most perfect vision of yourself, whatever that might be. So again, be kind to yourself, Virgo Suns, Virgo Mercuries. Make sure you're relaxing, and yes, stay on that road of excellence, because we all like to see a Virgo succeed, and you have so much to teach us. And I really do think, again, ultimate detective here, research detective, can analyze, and make sense of really complex things. So love it, love it. Let's go to Sun in Libra, Mercury, and Virgo. This is a very interesting combination, because Libra is all about building relationships with other people, building bridges between others, like that doesn't even involve them, making everyone get along. So they just want everyone to get along. They want to get along with everyone. They're building relationships with people. They're networking, because they're ruled by Venus, and their Venus expressed through cardinal air. So they're just always moving towards building relationships. So with Mercury and Virgo here, they prefer their social circles to be intelligent people, you know, people they deem as fountains of information that they can trust, reliable sources, walking around. That's who they want to connect with. So this is going to be a Libra sun that is maybe not as nice as your typical Libra sun. Like, all Libra suns are nice, but a Libra sun with a Mercury in Virgo is going to be a little bit more critical, a little bit more picky about who they socialize with. And also because Mercury in Virgo struggles with emotionally communicating with others, this can kind of block a Libra sun's social charm tied up with Venus. So yes, they can have a sense of how to balance things and to build relationships, but when they communicate with others and they try to make that happen through oral expression or even written communication, that can just get lost in translation, and they're like, where's that charming Libra? Now I'm talking to a critical Virgo. You know, it could just all get messed up. A Libra sun, Mercury and Virgo person can suffer a lot because of that disconnect with their Venus solar ambitions, like relating to others, building harmonious, beautiful, peaceful relationships, and having such a critical mouth with the Mercury and Virgo. Yeah, can really be at odds with one another, and it could just make a Libra sun just in a lot of turmoil because it's like they want to connect, but when they open their mouth and socialize, it goes against connecting. So yeah, that is why I really do feel like they prefer to connect with people intellectually, because that's their safe zone, and they can build, you know, safe, practically useful relationships through that linking together of knowledge. Like, they can learn from these other people, then they can share their knowledge too, and the way they communicate won't be lost in translation. It will be appreciated in those particular social circles. Yeah, Mercury and Virgo people with Libra sun like to connect with others who are practically useful to them, meaning people who align with their earth goals, like their career ambitions, people with similar career ambitions and energy towards career. People with similar health goals. Virgo is a very health conscious sign, like people who work out a lot, or, you know, people they admire like their physical beauty and bodies. They could be really prone to connect with people like that because those people are useful to them and can be like intellectual role models for them. And it's just a good thing for Libra suns. Very good connection to have here. So yeah, Libra sun person already feels a lot of pressure to connect through being pleasing, and this Mercury in Virgo is already a brain that has high expectations of itself. So there's a lot of pressure built up with a Libra sun and Virgo Mercury person, which, like all the Virgo Mercuries, can lead to anxiety and just overthinking things and worrying. And especially with Libra sun people, overthinking like, oh, I said this and this person doesn't like me, and you know, all this stuff. Like, they could just worry themselves to death over their social life. And what helps them is they could really cool down and relax with enjoying everything Venus. Art can soothe them, music, ASMR stuff. Like, they could really cool down in that way. And they also are like, you know, Mercury and Virgo people are learning machines, and Mercury and Virgo Libra sun people really want to learn how to be artistic. So they could really excel in the arts in this way because they just have so much mental energy, and then their solar energy is being pulled towards being like an artist with a Libra sun, that they can learn to be an artist and be a really good one at that. They could be amazing singers, good writers too. Like, they could take all that Libran beauty in their minds and translate that to on paper, all their relationship knowledge, translate that to a story, and yeah, with the grammar. So very good writers. I like this combination. I think it's really good. Even though it has its unique struggles, I also think it has its unique beauty. I really love Mercury and Virgo and all the sun combinations because you guys are just so smart, clean communicators. I really admire you because I'm just like a Pisces who has trouble with that. So you are my role models in terms of talking, and I think you guys are just really great, and you can learn anything. You're above all capable people. Mercury in Libra, it's your turn. Let's talk about you. Mercury in Libra is a very balanced mind, a very balanced communicator, has a very balanced approach to learning because they are the cardinal air sign, so rushing towards relationships because they're ruled by Venus. They want to build bridges, they want to build connections with other people, so they love talking. Mercury and Libra person can talk, especially if they like you, especially if they want to be with you in a social setting. They will talk a lot, which is really charming. They're charming communicators in that way, charming not in a Gemini way, but charming in a relatable way. Like, they want to be liked, they want to be pleasing, and they want a harmonious environment for communication, for learning. They really want to foster like a safe, kind learning environment and communication environment. So I like that about them a lot. They really love talking to people from all points of view. Like, they are not uncomfortable talking to people with a radically different point of view, as long as like certain rules of engagement are met. If the person's polite, Libra Mercury hates rudeness, will not tolerate that, because they're like, we're all adults, we should all be polite, there's no reason to not be polite, which I agree, like totally on point. So yeah, as long as you're speaking their language, as long as you're polite, then they'll listen to you, and they will be willing to learn from you. And they really are motivated to learn things that bring them closer to desired social groups. So if they want to be a part of a certain group and they are all studying this one subject, then they're going to be really motivated to study that subject too. So yeah, or even aside from the group mentality, they are attracted to beauty because their brain is ruled by Venus. So if they find beauty in a subject, then they will want to learn it. They will want to pursue that subject. And again, will want to learn it from multiple points of view, because it's not satisfactory for them to just learn something from one standpoint. They want to learn it from all different types of points of view, so they can understand how you're thinking, how you're processing something, and they will understand how to talk to you, how to debate with you. And then in that process, they will find their own truth and middle ground in their learning process, in their communication process. So are Mercury and Libra good learners? Of course, they're an air sign, so they're very intelligent. I think the only downfall of this Mercury in terms of learning is that it's ruled by Venus, and Venus likes things to come easy, which is opposite of Mars. Mars fights for things. So sometimes learning can hit bumps, like learning gets hard sometimes. So a lot of that time, unless a Libra is super motivated, if something isn't coming easy for them, they can kind of give up. So I would say the only push for this Mercury is just to fight in those moments instead of concede, because you guys are so smart. There's no reason for you to give up. You have a really strong mind. So keep yourself socially motivated. They also have a mind for art. And when I say that, I don't mean just like, oh, art, cool. I mean, like, they will see something beautiful and artistic, and they will want to learn how to replicate that. How can they copy that? And they will be really, dedicated to learning those steps to achieve that goal, because again, they like creating things of beauty, because people are attracted to beauty, and they like making connections with other people. So it's like a win-win thing here. So yeah, they will see something beautiful and they will be like, my brain wants to recreate that. How can I recreate that? I'm very interested in learning that. So yeah, they're really amazing social people. They can talk to anyone because they're not afraid to talk to someone, as long as they're polite. Like, they could be from a different point of view, anything. As long as you're nice, as long as you're polite, and meet those bare minimum requirements, a Libra and Mercury person will talk to you. Now, will they truly like talking to you? I don't know. It depends on if you have something of social value to them, if you are a part of a circle, if you know someone that they want to be closer to. It's like a big social web with these people. So a good thing about this Mercury is that this Mercury is just geared towards learning anything that makes them more attractive people, that will attract the people that they want to attract. And also, they're just, like I said, very polite. So as long as you're polite to them, they'll talk to you, even if you're someone of a different mindset. They're just really good debaters for this reason, because they like to learn things from different points of view outside of themselves in a very balanced and fair way. And they don't mind engaging in polite conversation. They love like displaying their knowledge, because they know that if they can display it in a cool-headed, attractive way, that just attracts more people to them, and they like talking with like-minded people especially. So yeah, great debaters, aren't afraid to have those uncomfortable conversations, because they're masters at softening the blow. They can take any controversial subject and make it a little bit more relatable, and they can say something that's maybe a little bit harsh, and they can find a way to say it in a nice way. Like, they're just geared towards harmony. Their mind in their learning process and their communication process desires harmony and balance above anything else, which makes them great listeners. You guys are great listeners because you guys are the relationship sign. Libra, especially Libra Mercuries, they want what comes out of their mouth to promote healthy relationships. And they're experts at relationships because you have to listen and communicate effectively to be in a healthy relationship. And they also understand how to compromise. And this is what makes them just really easy to talk to, and great listeners. Although I will say they can get drained by other people because they're always on and they always want to be that pleasant person. So definitely need some time alone, Libra Mercuries. Even though your mind might get lonely, this is a lonely mind away from people because they need social connection. You kind of need that alone time to recharge because you're just so about other people that you could just get lost in the mix and get kind of drained. But yeah, besides that, great communicators, although because they want to be pleasing, there is a tendency for this Mercury to assimilate. This is a mind and communication style that is prone to assimilation because you want to melt into your social circle and you want to communicate in a way that can help you fit in. So sometimes you assimilate against your own interests and ideas. You could get lost in this Libra Mercury maze because of that. So make sure that you give yourself your authentic voice, Libra Mercury, because I love it when Libra Mercuries like stand up for themselves, and they always stand up for themselves in a very polite way. Like, don't let someone be rude to you in communication. Like, Libra remind them, like, hey, I'll talk to you, but you have to be polite to me. Like, I don't talk to immature, rude people. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love seeing a strong Libra stand up for themselves because you guys are kind of posh. And I like it when you're in posh mode where you're just like, it's below me to engage in rude conversation. And I just love it when you're in that mode. And you should never be ashamed of being in that mode because you deserve it. You're such kind people. There's no reason for people to ever be rude to Libra Mercury. So yeah, you guys are just like, have a brain that is very balanced. Again, you want to learn things in a balanced way because you think that's fair. It casts a wider social net. Socially motivated to learn things can sometimes hit bumps in the road when it gets a little hard because you like things to come easy. But remember, like, push through because you guys are intelligent people. Don't get lost in the mix. Like I said, stand up for yourself. Because you're charming just as you are, and you love talking and you excel at talking to people, so people are gonna like you. So just relax a little. So let's talk about the different sun combinations with Libra Mercury. Let's go with Virgo Sun, Libra Mercury. And remember, the Mercury sign can be in the sign previous to the sun sign, or the same as the sun sign, or the sign after the sun sign. So first up is Virgo Sun, Libra Mercury. This is a great combination because it can really help the Virgo Sun out. Virgo people, especially Virgo Sun people, have a huge intelligence ego and can be really aggressive with their criticisms because they are intelligent. They're amazing for that. But yeah, they can come off as just so critical and harsh. This is where that magical Mercury and Libra can come in to help the critical Virgo Sun. They can say, wait, Virgo, how can we cushion this blow? How can we get our Virgo point across without being so mean, without being too harsh? Let's cushion this a little bit. Let's make it a little bit more relatable. Mercury and Libra is amazing at making something relatable to others, which is really a great tool, a really great skill for a Virgo Sun to have because, again, they can be harsh and they can alienate people with their criticisms and intelligence. So yeah, this is just someone who can make their intelligence relatable and get a lot of respect, intellectual respect because of that. And I love this YouTuber that my friend Denise turned me on to. Her name is Blair White. She is a Virgo Sun, Libra Mercury, and I think it's blown up by her Libra Jupiter. But anyway, she's a great example of this because she talks about a lot of controversial subjects. And she's a very smart Virgo and can get a little critical, but because you can't put the brakes on that completely, but she is definitely able to cool herself off and to make herself more relatable. I definitely see that Mercury in Libra helping her out, and she's just able to build bridges between people. Like, she's able to attract people to her that would never have liked her because she just makes her information she communicates it in such a relatable and kind way, but still Virgo smart way. So just an amazing combination for someone to have with a Virgo sun, because it really can bring more people to them. It can help them attract more positive things with their brain. And yeah, I think it's just pretty lucky. Let's talk about Libra sun, Libra Mercury. Well, your spirit, your Libra sun, is in alignment with how your mind works, with how you learn things, with how you socialize with other people. You are just Venus herself. You're very soothing, you're very easy to talk to, you're a very relatable person. I think that the beauty of this combination is that it is the most artistic of Libra combinations, with the Libra sun ambitions being supported by your Libra Mercury mind. Again, I think that every problem that we already talked about might be a little bit more amplified. Like, the chances of getting lost in everyone else's train of thought and the way they think and the way they communicate might be a little bit higher with a person with a Libra sun, Libra Mercury. So definitely don't get lost in the mix. Have your authentic voice. Definitely discover yourself intellectually. Put time into knowing yourself intellectually so you can stand confident in that, because remember, you're armed with killer manners. So as long as you're polite, it doesn't matter if you're going against the grain, even with your beloved friends or social circles. As long as you're polite, people are still gonna love you guys. So just be your beautiful, graceful, artistic selves and you'll be okay, I promise. Just don't lose that authentic voice of yours, because you have it for sure. And I really do feel like you guys understand relationships really well. Again, with this huge Libra energy from the sun supported by your Mercury. So I can almost see you being in the role of a therapist, especially you people with the Libra Pluto too. In combination with that, a very deep understanding of how relationships work at the very intimate level. Amazing for this. Let's talk about, this is the most interesting one, Scorpio sun, Libra Mercury. Oh my goodness. This is such an interesting combination, because as we know, Scorpio suns, that's like where your ambition is in life, your sun energy. And Scorpio is ruled by Mars and is really aggressive, really, but quietly aggressive. It's all under the surface with the Scorpio sun, and it's really intense because of that. They're ruled by Mars and Pluto. And so this almost acts like an opposition with their Libra Mercury, because Libra is ruled by Venus. So this is, oh my goodness, I think this could go two ways because it's so complicated. This is a very complex person. So remember, Scorpio sun is a very mysterious, hidden energy and doesn't like to reveal too much, doesn't run off the mouth. Also has goals that they're passionate about because they are Mars ruled. So they are emotionally driven towards things, especially things that give them power. But again, it's all quiet. They're never going to spell that out for you. So with a Libra Mercury, it could go two ways. It can make, you could use your Libra Mercury to disarm people and make them think that you're just so sweet and nice and relatable. And then you could just strike with that Scorpio sun and catch them off guard. Like, you could just be so sweet and then so aggressive 1 minute. So yeah, you could disarm them and you could just go in for it. So that's like the darker manifestation of this. And then the other manifestation is like, you know, the Libra Mercury can soften that tough Scorpio sun. Maybe it can give you a little bit more bravery when it comes to wanting to reach out to people, because Scorpios are so selective with who they let in. Because Scorpio sun people are very selective, very private people. They don't want too many people in their social circle, because that's just too many people that know stuff about them, and they don't want everyone to know about them, like who they are deep inside. So they have very limited social circles. So a Mercury in Libra can, on the brighter side, make this Scorpio a little bit more social, like have a little bit wider of a social circle, wanting to be a little bit more charming and maybe just a little bit more talkative, because Scorpios are very tight-lipped. So yeah, I could view this going either way, or maybe both. Like, if you're Scorpio sun, Libra Mercury, like, are you on the darker manifestation, or are you on the brighter? A little bit of both, let me know. And if you don't want to let me know, I totally understand. I know you guys are really private. All right, you guys, I love talking about Mercury, and my next video will be all about Mercury and Scorpio. I think it deserves its own video because it's so complex and a very interesting Mercury. Although I love all the Mercuries, Mercury and Scorpio is just so interesting, and I'm really looking forward to doing that video. All right, you guys, let me know of your Mercury and Virgo, Mercury and Libra experiences. I love reading the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!